ultimate. Y'all loving it. It's the ultimate. Y'all loving it. It's the ultimate shit. Y'all loving it. It's the ultimate shit. Yeah. Ultimate YouTube poop. Ultimate YouTube poop. Ultimate YouTube poop. Go break dance on your head. You break dance just like your dad. You break dance on your head. It's the ultimate dead. It's the ultimate poop. Yeah. It's the ultimate poop. No. It's the ultimate poop. Huh? It's the ultimate poop. I don't even care. The cops gonna come on, knocking in my underwear. It's the ultimate poop. What? It's the ultimate poop. I shit myself. It's the ultimate motherfucking poop. I can't believe they did it. I can't believe they did it. I can't believe they did it, and it's just a free edit. I can't believe they did it, and it's just a free edit. How they make a poop like this? How they make a poop so nice? How they make a poop so fine? Where the hell did this poop come from? I ain't never seen a poop like this before. Where did it come from? Sounds like angels must come down from heaven and give me this poop down. Angels must come down from heaven and give me this poop tan. Angels must come down from heaven and end that shit for them. Angels must come down from heaven. Or the devil came out from hell and came on up and said, I got a poop for you. I've seen some other people's poops and I just don't like them. I'm gonna show you how to poop it right. I'm gonna show you the ultimate poop tonight. And then motherfucker devil came on down and he showed us motherfucker how to do the ultimate poop. And he said, boy, let me show you how it's done. Run on the mountain, run, boy, run.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for another exclusive interview here at the Poopcast. This is Infinipoop, and I am 99V. And today we have
I am Mullet.
And today we have a very special guest with us. We've got Sleepchao.
Yes.
Hello. Hey, great to be here. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Really good. Yeah, it was very nice talking with you beforehand, catching up, letting you know a little bit about us, and learning a little bit about you. And we're just very, very happy to be here. Happy to have you here with us. I think Mullet was on the Neon Castle, and he put out a call, and you replied. And again, we really, really appreciate that you be here with us right now.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'm enjoying it. It's a pleasure.
So go ahead, Mullet.
Okay. Well, I was just saying. Well, what do you want to talk about? You do poops, yes.
All right. Let me start from the very, very beginning.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
The year was 2006. A lot of amazing stuff was going on. YouTube hadn't necessarily started, but the things were established because we had been there for a couple of years. People were uploading cartoons, people were making music videos, people were doing vlogs and all this other stuff. There was a lot of file sharing going on during that period of the internet.
Yeah.
You had peer-to-peer networks, and streaming wasn't exactly as great as it is now. Say that because not everyone had good internet. It has a lot to do with what we watched and video games and how the internet kind of took a whole bunch of people that were separated before and bundled them all up into one place where they were interacting, and they had never done that before. And they had in certain instances, but not necessarily on this scale. YouTube Poop is one of the just craziest things because we're taking media and just ripping on it, and we love it.
Yeah. The whole medium, it just got me excited immediately when I first saw it. Actually, I may have seen it in 2006, 2007, and it just kind of, I think I just saw it, And then in 2009, Mullet was really interested in it. I came over to his house once and he showed me it, and he showed a real interest in it. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of like hit me like, wait a second, this is art.
Yeah, art. The way these videos are edited and how they come off, and subject material. It's almost like an extension of the source material in that of itself, and how people watch something, they enjoy it, and it's a new venture into it, almost like fan fiction. You said that earlier when we were talking before. When you love something and there's not much more of it, the things start to gestate, and there's a following, and people just react and interact with each other and talk about what they had seen. Video games and file sharing. The cartoons we watched as kids, Mario, Sonic, Mega Man, movies we watched, stuff that came on TV, things that we didn't really understand too much, or stuff we didn't care about. Some people were more interested in other things. I come into the picture around 2006. I'd been on YouTube since it first started. Back in that day, it was just, look at me, I'm going to the zoo, or here's a fat kid falling over, or here's a music video.
Yes.
Like, I was on Wikipedia reading about Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, because again, our generation is so obsessed with nostalgia and looking backward instead of forward.
It's true.
Yeah, the article for Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog said, like, directly, it said YouTube poop. Like, at the bottom, it was like, YouTube poop is this thing on YouTube where people are taking the footage and just doing crazy things with it. It's provocative. It's strange. They're being uploaded with nonsensical titles that have nothing to do with what's going on, and it is strange. You need to go see it. And I read this. I was about 14 or 13. If you could just imagine what a 14-year-old is probably thinking reading something like that. He's like, whoa, this sounds like the hottest fucking shit ever. I need to see this. And I had come from Newgrounds. Newgrounds was absolutely
Newgrounds.
huge.
That's the other one that I always forget about is Newgrounds. Yeah, I always remember E-Bomb's World, but Newgrounds was like E-Bomb's World. These were the two fucking places. If you wanted to see crazy, weird videos and shit, those are the two places you went to back before YouTube.
And Newgrounds, again, was another place for people to react to source material and do sort of fan fiction-y things a little bit.
Yes.
Some other people started on some other websites, ones that I weren't even aware of until maybe a couple of years later. So I'm absolutely just awestruck by these videos. I go to YouTube and I'm like, what on earth is this? What is a Super Yoshi? What is sodomy? And I go to YouTube and I type in Sonic and Robotnik's Sodomy Hour, because that is the video that was mentioned on the Wikipedia article. I was fucking floored. I was like, what is happening? I haven't seen Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog in what seemed like an eternity. It must have been like 10 years or so, because it was in syndication. There were some tapes, but it wasn't actually that long. I had a tape of Sonic the Hedgehog that I borrowed from a neighbor. I think it was like 2 episodes. So anyway, the footage, none of this stuff makes any sense when it's taken out of context. And the title is like just bombastic. Sodomy, Sonic and Robotnik. An hour of it. it was 2 minutes and 33 seconds, I think. I cannot fucking remember. And it's just stuff slowed down and scratch and grounder, or they're looking stupid, they're looking stoned, they're looking like they just, I don't know, had the orgy of a lifetime. Robotnik is in a window, he's laughing, Sonic is doing whatever, and I'm like, whoa. So then come the related videos. This was a hole, this was a pit that I'd fallen into, and the rest is history.
That's how you got exposed to it. Actually, from a Wikipedia article about Sonic. Yes. That is so interesting. That I find that really, really fucking interesting.
So I believe it was winter. It was winter 2006, and I didn't start editing my own videos until maybe February 2007. It was hella difficult because we didn't have our own computers. We had a family computer that we would share, and I mean, I would stay on that thing just for hours trying to crank out a video, and it was tough because of Windows Movie Maker and specs exactly being up to snuff.
Yeah.
And the time it took to convert footage and find footage. You know, there was YouTube, those low quality ass Toon Disney rips of Sonic the Hedgehog. And
Yeah,
I mean,
you've gotta
we
get
had
your
things
footage.
like, God, it was difficult.
You got to
Yes.
download. You got to
Kazaa,
convert to
WinMix,
accommodate the editor. Then you got to wait on the render.
LimeWire,
It's
Yes.
time consuming. Just for
other
that.
people. Yeah. And we did what we could. I had a very from the very beginning, I wanted my videos to be a certain way. I wanted them to be exactly like what I saw, because I mean they were so much more constructed, and they had footage, and they had an access to much longer stuff, and I just wasn't able to get it. This hindered me in the first couple of months and years because I just wasn't able.
The rendering process is massive. Like, too, it takes up so much CPU and RAM on the computer. I mean, back in 2006, 2007, man, I don't know. I mean, our computers kind of fucking sucked. I mean, I was actually, I was running a fucking server model that I think had like, 350 megs of RAM in it. And it might have been 1 megahertz or something, and it was just a horrible computer to try to edit on.
Specs. I remember those pretty profusely. This was a compact Presario. It was like 1.4 gigahertz or something, 256 megabytes of memory, and Windows Movie Maker would just chug and slow. I mean. Anytime you did anything, it was like, oh shit, it's gonna collapse. It was like Jenga, and you had to be careful with whatever you moved and whatever you put in there, because if you hadn't saved, your little piece of art that you were so confident in was gonna fall apart, and your video or whatever you had going was just gonna fucking go, just be smoke. So I had to get in the process of getting more comfortable with saving every couple of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was outrageous. And when I first, there were other people that were already using like Vegas and other stuff because they had better access, they had better means. And I had to construct my earliest videos just from shit I found on YouTube, and very good quality, and FLV converters were flaky, and I didn't have all the space I wanted. It's incredible, man. I guess I'll talk about sources and people I met along the way, and the forums, of course. But
and also mention, please, for the viewers and for us too, the years too, as you're traveling through these thoughts in your mind and you're breaking this down for us.
Yeah. When I first discovered it, I was just blown away by it, and to me, it seemed like one of the most important things to me at the time. Oh well, it happened. There's no changing what happened. Social life was very like transparent, like floating. I would go into like periods of hibernation. People would not see me for really, really long periods of time. People drifted. 2007, I think that's when I joined the forums in September, and shit really got really hectic because the people who were making the videos were interacting with each other.
Yes.
2008, I got banned from the forums for being just, like completely out of control. Because I mean, what are you going to do with teenagers on the internet?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, when you say the forums, what forums?
YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube. The place where it all fucking happened, where all these people were coming together and just clashing and bashing heads and stuff. And when I got banned, there were some people who kind of like they didn't necessarily come to my aid, but they were around and they were talking to me. And then I got more involved, even more involved than I was already. There was a YTP Tennis. I can't remember the exact month or year when that started, but who was it? Miscellaneous 10 and Conrad Slater. They did a tennis. Tennis was in its I'd say early stages when this happened, and by summer 2008, it had exploded. So YTP Tennis was people would edit these videos back and forth like a tennis game, and the ball, the birdie, was the video, and it was fucking outrageous. So I was doing those for a bit, and I got really, really deep into them.
Oh,
and,
if I could interrupt for a sec, maybe for listeners that aren't as familiar, could you explain the mechanics of a tennis?
Sure. YTP Tennis, again, you're just hitting it back and forth, and things change. And what happens is the end result. What you have is like maybe 4 rounds, 6 rounds. Things started like 8 rounds, maybe 6. Usually I would do 6 and 8. Some people didn't exactly mesh well. Other people were very, very different. Some people had different styles. And that would create some kind of dissonance.
Yeah, we talked about that. I had a very specific style of tennis that I like to do, and not a lot of people got in on my tennises. I only had a couple of finished rounds.
Oh, man, I did so many of those. Not as many as others. But
were there ever aces? You know, like, did anybody ever come out and just fucking hit that ball like bow and just like score like with one fucking hit, just done? Like,
yeah, there were plenty of instances, and you have people that are I guess you could say unchampioned and how serious they took their editing. And again, the divergence of styles that popped up in 2006, 2007. There were poop styles, there were tennis styles. Some tennis styles were more indicative of the way people pooped, and some people's tennis styles were completely different from the way they would make a normal video.
Sure.
Who can I think of? Since we're the older guard, I'd say most of the videos we watched were much slower, and the things were more joke oriented or just like random sources thrown in. There wasn't much we could do to it. And how can I describe this? Seductive Baz, that's a name we'll throw out there. He did these videos with Hulk Hogan. They were really like hectic, spastic, loud, flashy lights, really stuttery and crazy. In early 2008, they had AIDS. AIDS was like a backlash towards how people were overusing CDI.
Okay.
I guess
I'd like to know more about AIDS. That's like, I'd hear people say AIDS, and it's like, what do you mean? I know you don't use actual medical condition. It's a slang, but what is AIDS?
AIDS was it was like a backlash. It was a buzzword for anything that wasn't like creative enough or provocative enough or original enough, and it would just take what we had seen before and just do what you would expect, like with like Zelda, Mario, Hotel Mario. And AIDSless AIDS came about as a way of making fun of how predictable these videos were. And AIDSless AIDS was just
AIDSless AIDS.
Yeah. It was destructive. It would take the videos and just ruin them. They were seizures. So back to tennis.
Interesting.
Yeah. God, there's so much. And it's absolutely amazing. And feel free to ask more questions and stop me along the way so this stuff makes more sense.
And just to clarify, like if an absolute beginner is what tennis is, you post a video, presumably a mashup video or a poop, and you upload it. Somebody else downloads it. They edit that download, re-upload it again, you download again, and so on. And that's why they call it tennis, because it's back and forth.
Right. And it gets more dilapidated and unrecognizable along the way, especially if you're using more effects and more abrasive methods. It just gets degraded and corroded along the way. I'll drop some names. Well, again, I think it was Conrad and Miss 10 that did the first tennis. Not exactly sure, don't remember. And the really effects heavy people started to come in. And they were just nuts. They were using Vegas, Sony Vegas. And that's what Baz was using to do this Hulk Hogan stuff, I believe. There was microprocessor. There was Game Bop. And what they were doing was so amazing that other people were. There was a guy named Punk. We were influencing each other constantly with this stuff we did. And one of the most popular tennises, because tennis was already niche in that of itself, tennis.
Sure.
One of the most popular YouTube Poop tennises made was Deeper Cut and Catpan, or what was his name? Sky Guy? I'll Google it.
Those names sound familiar to me.
Yeah, they were way more popular, and they had access to footage and better means of editing stuff. Deeper Cut did these really just hilarious videos of Sonic X and Static Shock and Combat and all this other stuff. He used Adobe Premiere for all of this. Deeper Cut versus Catpan 6. And the jokes in here are just like hilarious, bombastic, and things are popping up and they're getting funnier every time they pop up, like just the repetition and running gags and things like that. That was one of the funniest, most easily.
By now in your chronology, you're up to 2008. And I would say this is kind of when things are blowing up. A lot of new poopers are starting to come in.
Shit, we gotta fucking talk about Walrus Guy. We gotta fucking talk about Walrus Guy.
Okay.
Man.
We were kind of talking about Walrus Guy a little bit with Girly yesterday because I was talking about a poop that I actually liked a lot.
So let me just say this as a foreword. Me personally, my poop style or my take on all of this is that I was influenced by everybody and everything. And it constantly reverberates throughout my work, just allude to everything everyone else was doing. In fact, most of the jokes are just jokes other people came up with, and we would use them, and it's like, hey, it's a nod. And eventually, over time, that was how we would come into our own and make our own jokes.
The poop memes are forming.
Yeah. Walrus Guy. So let me talk about him. Walrus Guy, like you guys said earlier, he was one of those people that would form a narrative.
A plot
story.
creator.
Yeah. And again, this shit was exploding. Like people were watching and they were like, whoa, what is going on? Story. And Walrus Guy would animate things. He would take like the images and the pictures and like move them around and use Flash and stuff like that to illustrate his point even better and create story. And there was even a backlash towards Walrus Guy just for being himself, just for putting effort into stuff. And
for using Flash, creating Flash animations and stuff. There was some pushback.
For doing what he loved.
Wow.
Basically, they were like, it's overrated. People would say things like that.
Yeah, for plot pooping with overlays, which is what we did all the time.
Man.
And some people just they dump haterade on that.
So much of it.
Haterade.
So much. And salt coming from people.
Yeah, I liked seeing that shit personally. I liked seeing when somebody was putting their own like real artistic ability into their poop. All of a sudden they would, if they were an artist and they actually were able to do some Flash animations, I mean, that would come off to me like, ooh, shit, this guy's doing something original. I like to see originality everywhere. So yeah, that kind of stuff always impressed me. of course, the whole pooping thing was impressive as just an art style in and of itself. The fact that you can take this source material and change it to the point where you have created something that the authors never intended, and
Yes.
it has completely transformed.
That's why we're here, baby. It's the most just bombastic fucking thing, and everyone should be proud of even having a small hand in it. Because what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when you're alive? You make shit happen.
Yes, yeah, it's really amazing to actually be a part of the scene in any way.
So, like you said, I think I'm mid 2008 now. Back to my timeline. I think I'm currently banned. I'm going outrageous.
Yeah.
Tennis.
It's 2008. Walrus Guy is poop famous for plot pooping. You got kicked off the forums, and here we are. It's the middle of 2008.
I met a fellow named Gas Mass Avenger, and he really liked, I don't know, like gothic, gory, provocative things.
Yeah, sure.
And we tennised for a bit, and that dissonance I mentioned earlier, like was all throughout our stuff. He had a certain angle and things he wanted to present, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, because again, I was just what is that word? I was so impressionable that I wasn't really doing me or being myself. I was just throwing shit in there and, oh, remember this, remember that. And his videos were great. I could see everything he was doing, but me, I still hadn't found what I wanted to do yet. So these tennises I was doing with Gas Mask were very dissonant and mismatched and kitschy and tacky. So let's just go ahead and skip to 2008, winterish. The forums. I am back and forth on the forums making alts and just being like abrasive and being really fucking aggravating to people. Like
they don't like that. They don't like that very much.
What the hell is RoboChao doing? He's banned. Can he get out of here? What the fuck is he doing? Some voice is saying. So anyway,
okay. So then, should we say we're talking with RoboChao? Because actually, I kind of remember that name, man.
Yeah,
I kind of remember that name back in the old days. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So, so how? God, I'm sorry, I want to interrupt you just momentarily. Okay, so you're young, you're fucking expressing yourself, you're pissing people off, you want to find a voice, you're trying to find your art.
Piss and vinegar.
Sure, man, and you're making alts because you're trolling people, somebody's pissed you off and shit. and how the fuck did you get back in the good spirits of these kind people?
I grew the fuck up, man. It's you have things, you have like just stuff you go through that changes you along the way and changes your own mindset. A lot of it has to do with being to yourself for a while. When you are to yourself, you have a lot of time to think and reflect on things you said, what you've done, and you do a lot of studying and reading and just, hey, something clicks along the way, and it doesn't click in everyone, but with me, something went off, and I said, wow, I was really fucking stupid. That was dumb. I'm gonna go back and right all the wrongs I've done. And I even did that IRL with people. Still doing it to this day, because
that's a great quality, by the way.
Yeah, you go to high school, you go to college, you go on dates, you pay your bills, you go to work, do all this other shit, and you just change over periods of time, and that happened here. So I was growing as a person. And
I think there was some science. There's a few scientific studies that quantify actually a time period. They say that within 2 years, you can change pretty drastically.
Yeah, puberty, whatever the fuck's going on, teenage angst, not having a voice, all that stuff you said.
Absolutely.
Winter 2008, the videos. They're pretty fucking good. Forums are blowing up. There's drama between everybody, not just me. We're on MSN. We're talking to who's so, what's and what, all these people. And I think my most popular video that I'd ever done that made me blow up was a video about a moderator that used to like just admin and moderate. She would just do her job. She was just staff. That's it.
Yeah,
And,
it's a tough job to do sometimes.
And
people hate
winter
them.
2008.
Yeah.
This would have been when me and 99V first started pooping.
Wow.
Around this time.
Wow.
Yeah. Later 2008 would be when our first uploads got on YouTube.
Oh.
It seemed like a fucking, like, the community, man, was like, it felt to me like the community kind of had AIDS. Like, I wanted to be a part of the community. Okay, let me reel that back in a little bit. I wanted to be a part of the community. I really did, but I didn't see how I could fit in.
Things were setting you aback.
Yeah, I kind of felt like something was kind of pushing me away from the community itself, but the art itself, what was being created, was this attractive force to me. And I saw a lot of, like, I just saw something very attractive about what was actually being created, you know?
Yeah. Oh man. Just and some people were uninvolved during all this. Some people just sat back and watched it happen. People who never even made videos. And they have an even different view and look on this. They're like, wow, YouTube poop, this went on for more than 5 years. What the fuck is wrong with these people? They say things like that. Like, YouTube poop, you mean those 3 things I watched with Sonic, Mario, and Link and weren't funny? I only thought that shit was funny when I was 10 and people still make it? What the hell? You know, those kind of opinions. And
sure,
they come from a reasonable perspective or some state of mind that
sure.
I know how they feel because, man, it's so silly. It's
very meta too. I mean, when on the surface it looks like it's just about Sonic, but actually there's something more human going on here. You know, the artist is actually expressing themselves within this medium. And even if like you say, some of your first poops were you kind of being like a mirror and just kind of shining back in on what you've seen before, you know, that's still fair.
And to this day, actually, I still, you know, experiment with that. And I still just try to craft what I think, you know, is the most hilarious thing to me. Because over time I had to realize what I liked was what I liked. And you'll get better at doing it over the months and years. And, well, it's what happens. If you see something and you set out to recreate it and find the quirks and mechanisms of why it even works in the beginning, you'll start to, I don't know, form a blueprint and just know how it works or find your own way or voice.
That's great advice, actually.
I guess the timeline. So I'm making these weird videos about Miss 10, the moderator. They're getting really funny. And again, I told you I was an artist and I had an interest in animation. So I'm animating stuff too, a little bit like Walrus Guy, a little bit.
Nice.
So I'm using Flash. I'm doing these weird doodles and stuff of the avatar. And people are like, huh? The fuck is he doing? So I did that for a little bit. It's dumb. And 2009 comes along. Tennis, it continues on. Kind of a downward spiral. And I meet some people along the way. I met some artists and we would draw together.
That's cool.
We would do this little comic. And again, these were people from YouTube. Fast forward a couple of years, I think the peak of YouTube poop was probably 2009 or 2010. That was when you had your wiki wows, your boogity boos. What's his name? Man, if only I had constructed some kind of like piece of paper with all the important people. But because again, my whole story is about how this whole thing influenced me, and that's mostly what I'm about. So let's skip to 2011. I think 2011. I was graduating from high school, and it was getting more and more important that I would need to find a job and go to college. Videos took a bit of a standstill. That continued for a little bit. my animation was starting to die, my videos were starting to die, but I still just like continued along the way. And now it's 2018. And the videos now are shorter, and I guess I'd say funnier, or how I always wanted to make them, because hardware got better and downloading videos got better. And you just do what you do. You have your online life and you have your real life. What else? What else?
Yeah, it's really amazing what people were able to do with their computers back then. I mean, when we would render out something, I mean, it could take fucking hours and hours and hours, and then we would look in the community and see what other poopers were uploading, and we would just be dumbstruck
Yeah,
at the
amazed.
level of at the level of complexity and
The technical
rendering time.
prowess.
Yeah.
And how they managed to get it done. I guess I should talk about Vegas for a little bit, since I jumped all the way from 2009 to now, because not much happened. There was a bit of a slump, I'll admit. Vegas is like such an integral part of all of this, because it sped up the workflow, and you could import more. Windows Movie Maker was, import anything you hope you can put in there and hope it doesn't crash, with that Jenga metaphor I had earlier.
Yes.
So Vegas, you're throwing stuff in, and you have all these video effects, and you can trim that stuff down really small. People are stuttering, people are repeating things, people are using compositing and multi-layered video effects. They're going into track motion. They're making YTP and Vs. That's something I didn't even mention or talk about yet, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, what is that? What's a YTP in V?
A poop music video.
Oh, yeah. Love those. Oh, love those. Yeah.
And those are split into two different factions. I'll talk about them in Vegas. And I know very little about how they're made, but I have like a basic rudimentary knowledge of how they sync that stuff up. You have two kinds of YTP and Vs. You have ones that a person takes a piece of music that already exists and essentially adds lyrics using some kind of source material. Like a character will be saying something and it'll go along with the song. That's rudimentary.
Mm-hmm.
And then things start absolutely blowing up when people are taking sounds from all these other things and making their own songs with that source material. And then you got another kind where people are taking music that exists and recreating it entirely in Vegas, and they're matching the pitch and the tone and all the other shit. And that's fucking nuts. It's bonkers. I don't know how they did it. And people make these veggies, these project files, and sit on them for days, weeks, months, and release them when they're comfortable with them. That's another thing about these videos. People release them when they're comfortable with them. You don't have to rush. I rushed almost all of my videos made before a certain point, because I was like, okay, let's make them. Let's sit down for a couple of hours, make them, shoot them out. We're done. Happy.
Yeah, we did too, actually. We always had this kind of like fake deadline, this false deadline mentality. It was like, all right, we got to get something out. We got to get it out. And then we'd be working on it and shit. Is it good enough? Is it good enough?
A lot of that was me, because I was proposing, like, dude, we don't have a lot of poops. These other guys have tons of poops. I was feeling inadequate about our portfolio.
Quantity over quality.
I was like, let's just get out some quick poops. And you were wise enough to rein me in from that. Like, no, let's just make a few good poops instead of like 20 bad poops.
Well, it was, I mean, we were doing something quite different, like really working together on each project. And we both had different kind of fucking mentalities about the whole thing. And we were both keeping each other in check. I mean, I always had this kind of like vision for every single one of the poops that we did, like where I wanted to kind of like, I really wanted to get some kind of atmosphere, emotion. I wanted there to be a theme, and I was always focused on that. And then you always had this fucking comedic sensibility to you, where you just fucking knew how to make great jokes. You know what I mean? I always, and so when I would see what you did, I'd be like, oh fuck, that's great. Yes, I have a sense of humor, but I'm so focused on this other side of the pooping that you know, you would always surprise me with that shit. But yeah, maybe it was you. I remember on some of the poops where it was taking a while. I mean, I'll admit, you know, I mean, I was, you know, in college and shit at the time, but like, it was taking a while to get some of these poops out. But sometimes, like, I'd be fucking editing this fucking video, and you know how? Okay, so Chow, you know how you'll be fucking in your edit and you could just get lost in this like tiny ass little slice in Vegas that doesn't even take like 33% of a second, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it can just suck the goddamn life out of you.
Let's talk about that. Structure and pacing. Again, being comfortable with something before you release it, very important. These videos, sometimes your timeline would start so different from how the finished video would turn out. And again, you were trying to get your jokes and your pacing and the way things would flow and cut from one thing to another. Yeah, you'd be stuck on a certain point just making sure it's perfect for I don't know how long. And the specs were terrible. So just getting it to show up in the fucking preview over there was like, look, it's chugging. it's chugging.
Yeah,
pre-render, fucking all these little bits, and then like you're feeling it, you're really feeling the scene, you know exactly how to edit it, but then you got to pre-render it, and then you notice, oh shit, I'm off on a couple frames. You got to go back, do it a little bit, do another fucking pre-render. I'm fucking still off, go back, and then all of a sudden by that time you're not feeling the fucking you know, the musical artistic inspiration. You're fucking in a mine hacking away at coal, you know, just like carrying it in a fucking bucket back up to the top.
Yeah, you're fighting the video.
I remember like working on segments that are 1/5 of a second, and if you're doing 30 frames, that's only 5 images. Like,
but it can be enough to
There's 5 images. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all you have. Why is the order of these particular 5 images? Why this 1/5 of a second? A 1/5 of a second. That took longer than a 1/5 of a second. Why are you obsessed over that period of time?
But these are the kind of things that one I think will find themselves tripping into as you start to like edit and you make a poop. It just happens, you know, like we would have an idea, we would draw it out, and then as we're trying to make it work, you know, it's just really easy to spend hours and hours and hours in like a really small little segment.
I was doing something with a song in it.
I had a different way, and like I said, your work ethic changes along your method. I did not start doing pre-renders until way later, like my second era. I didn't even have the time to do pre-renders because they would take so long on what I was using. And loop regions and just applying effects to certain instances and, you know, takes with audio effects. There were so many things I didn't know how to do. I was just going in there and just feeling and just trying.
We were doing longer poopers, like longer poops. Our poops were in like the 6 to 15 minute range. We were doing pre-renders for safety. Also,
longest video I ever made was about 6 minutes, I think. That stuff got hard with that little AMD Athlon.
Yes, with the longer the render, man, it just starts hating you. You know, the machine, the edit will just start fucking hating you. I mean, you'll start to feel that way. You know, and then if you lose a render, so we would like render something and then we would edit it, you know what I mean? We like edit out because our machine sucked. I had $100 fucking laptop I was working on in 2009, and he had a $75 or $100 fucking, you know, e-machines or something, you know, both of our
it was a Dell. It was one of the old Dells where oftentimes I did have to open it up to repair it, where it had all like the weird plastic holders and shit in the
How did that catch of theirs, that catchphrase, that marketing tagline, Dell, how did it go?
Dell computers is swell computers.
No,
right?
No. what is it? You're getting Adele or something like that?
Oh, okay, yeah. You're talking about the old TV advertisements. You're getting Adele. I almost know what you're talking about, but
I wish I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's only some marketing things that I remember myself. I actually studied marketing, so I have a particular hatred for it also. So there are some things I just don't want to know. When it comes to companies marketing themselves, I hate them. Okay.
Dude, you're getting Adele.
Is that it, dude? Dude, you're getting Adele?
That was the catchphrase of like the turn of the century advertisements.
Dude, bro. You're getting
that's going to work really well, guys. I have a really good feeling about this one. Everybody's sitting around a fucking table. They've got paperwork on a table. And they're all looking at it, and they've got a reader in the room. This is the one we need to go with. Okay, so you were mentioning about how you had discovered the Sony Vegas and you started using it more. You started becoming more proficient with it, I believe you were saying.
Yeah. Yes. This was first started using it summer of 2007 and just kept doing it and doing it. I went from the AMD Athlon 2 and Athlon X2.
What was the number version exactly? 7, 8, 9, 10?
Oh yeah, that's good to know.
Version of
Vegas.
5.
Oh damn.
Going old school.
Yeah, and then I went to 7. And I was trying to get some wax in there because again, that tennis stuff, people were trying to do that, wax, all these weird video effects. And that was really resource intensive for me. Kept going up along the versions of Vegas. Then eventually my brother got a new computer with some kind of dual core AMD something. Then I had to get my own computer when I got my job, and that was a Pentium 4. So I was set back a little bit in 2011. And rendering on that was just, oh God, listen to that fan whir. It was HP, some kind of workstation with a lawnmower tube for a fucking heatsink. Kept going. Then I eventually hit Core 2 in 2012. Embarrassing, by the way. Just didn't have a lot of money. Didn't want to spend it.
No, that was the same way with us too. I mean, you got to get your best bang for the buck. And
I didn't get a GPU until winter 2012. And it was it was a really puny little thing, but it helped so much.
Oh, don't get me started about the Voodoo.
Voodoo. The Voodoo 2.
The Voodoo the Voodoo 2, man. Oh,
I never had one of those. I had to play everything on accelerated video.
When I was a child, that was the only thing my little brother and I wanted was a Voodoo 2. And we begged Santa Claus, please, Santa Claus. And we were 2 Jews. Please, Santa Claus. This is how desperate we were. Please give us a Voodoo 2, Santa. And then Santa fucking delivered on a Voodoo 2. We were shocked. It was Nintendo 64, you know what I mean? We were screaming over this fucking box. And then we go to install it. And it didn't fucking work. The specs on the computer were not up to date. It wouldn't work with the Voodoo 2. And our parents were not interested in upgrading at the time. So we basically just hung our heads in defeat and said, we'll settle with the TNT.
Nice. Yeah, we were console kids. We didn't have much of this PC modifying experience, not until much later, when PC started to get more and more cheaper and accessible with the whole OEM thing that was going on. Stuff was getting cheaper. We actually have to thank HP, Dell, and E-Machines and all these other people.
Absolutely.
For
yes,
making
for flooding
it cheaper.
The market. Yeah, for flooding the market with cheap stuff. I mean, it's so true, man. You're absolutely right about that.
Man, where would we be? My first GPU was a NVIDIA GeForce 8400. I think it had CUDA on it. Tried to use it to help speed rendering up a little bit.
Yeah, Dell and HP, something to thank them for. Cheap monitors.
Cheap monitors. Yeah.
Because they made so many, you're still finding monitors with Dell and HP on them at like a Goodwill for $2.
That's true. See, here's the thing is that like this is really true stuff. Okay, so back in the day, just to put a little equality here, the reason why I think this pooping scene is sort of like music in a way, in that people get to express themselves through this medium, but it requires tools. Like if you're going to make music, you need a guitar, you need a drum set, you need speakers, you need tools. And the thing that was really interesting is that you know, it only really happens, like you can only be punk and make music if there's cheap fucking equipment down the road. You know, if you can walk into a pawn shop, for example, spend $100 and walk out with a fucking guitar, now you can make music. And that happened around, you know, in the mid 2000s and stuff. I mean, I took Mullet over to a thrift store and I was like, Mullet, no, you can afford a computer. And he looked at me like, I can't fucking afford a computer. You're crazy. And I'm like, no, dude, trust me. Let's go over here. And yeah, I mean, you could find a monitor for $15. You could find a computer for $100, and then bam, you've got your instruments, and now you can fucking make art. And I feel like this kind of thing repeats itself. It's almost like a, you know, it's like a loop where this scene kind of came out of kids being able to use a tool to express themselves.
Yeah, that's a great angle. Definitely a good way to put a top on it or spin it. This, man, we didn't have a lot. Hey, what's going on? Get him wave. He's like, here you go. Here's your shitty computer.
Yeah, dude, you're getting it down.
A what? I'm getting a door holder?
So Robo, you okay, so you've been pooping for a long time, man. This is really cool to have you on the show, man. You've been like really awesome, dude. And I love this perspective that you've been coming at this whole thing from. And the fact that you also, you know, flamed people at one point, and you got fucking banned, and like you redeemed yourself, you transformed, you know what I mean, you grew older, more wise, and shit. You know, it helps to fucking put a little space, you know, between you and a situation to be able to take another kind of have a perspective.
Yes.
And it's really cool to fucking have you on, man. And
it's so much of a pleasure, because we don't get to hear a lot of stuff like this. We don't get to be part of much of anything. We don't really get to shit. How do I put this? Man, there goes that water again. I gotta use the bathroom. Give me a moment.
Yeah, no, it's true though. I think what you're getting at is that there's something interesting, because you have all these artists. They're all somewhat skilled, and they're in a situation where the only way to express themselves are through the art or in the community in forums or chats. And I mean, they can talk to each other outside of the forum, but using different technologies and stuff like that. But I think it would be good for the community at large to actually be able to hear from the artists themselves and kind of build a connection with the artists outside of, you know, an area, a situation where, you know, maybe the forums are a little bit too, you know, I mean, kind of like the way I felt. Like, it just feels like there's a lot going on here. I'm not quite sure how to integrate. And what we'd like to do, like what we're doing here with you, is just fantastic. And, you know, we'd just like to connect, talk to you, let other people be able to see this and feel that connection that we have with you. And it's just fantastic, you know. Hopefully we can continue to do this sort of thing with support, of course, from the community at large.
Hey, I'm back.
All right.
Awesome.
So, how's the time? What are we looking at?
We are currently looking at 54 minutes is when
Holy
we
shit.
started.
Wow, it didn't feel like it, because this was a breeze, to put it in other words. With your timeline thing, like I think that helped things go smoothly. Like you said, oh, and this year I was here, and this and that, and like this was a really smooth. You had a cohesive narrative with the timeline thing.
And what were you saying just now? I mean, do you want to finish that thought that you had, or do you just want to leave that?
What thought was it?
Um,
Because I'm on fire right now. Like I can't see anything.
what do you
Wait.
mean?
Wait,
Like
In-
I'm present.
actuality, what happened? Was there emergency?
No. Like I mean,
No, he's in the moment, bro.
yeah.
Ah, okay.
If I had VD, that would be pretty bad.
Yeah, then you'd be on fire in a different way. Chlamydia, your father is here to pick you up. So I think I was just bringing up. I think I was bringing up the community, how to integrate, and the fact that what we're trying to do right now, in order to connect with you, with a pooper, try to understand the motivation that a pooper has when they actually attempt to make a poop, what it's like to be in the scene, kind of taking this out of the forums in a manner of speaking where we can actually just have a conversation back and forth, and then let other people judge who this person is that we're talking to. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, objectively.
Yeah.
In basic terms, it's like whatever you find funny, do what you find funny. Like and you're seeing some stuff, copy shit, go and watch stuff and, experiment, watch things, go through important periods of your life, struggle, be mad, be happy, be effervescent, energetic, enthusiastic about things, and live your life too. Have important moments, discover shit, grow to be a better person, and just live and laugh along the way and enjoy what's out there. And watch you some fucking Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Mega Man and CDI, and see where all this shit was coming from. These stupid ass cartoons that people were getting paid to make. Because a lot of that has to do with this, like just people watching shit and reacting to it. At its core, what did I just watch? I just watched Sonic and Robotnik commit anal sodomy.
For real.
Yeah.
For real, man. Dude, what a fantastic piece of advice for all the poopers and people in the community. That really is awesome. Thank you so much for giving that to us, Sleepchao.
No problem. It was a pleasure, and I enjoyed talking to you guys. Just maybe if we do this again, I don't know, and maybe if you get some other weird people, this picture will get painted in such a it'll just be vast, colorful. Things will make more sense.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, we've got a lot to learn, and you're welcome. You're welcome back anytime, man.
Yeah. All right, we good?
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end the broadcast. Mullet, why don't you go ahead and take us out with a sponsor? This is the let's do the sauce diet. Let's do that.
Oh, the sauce diet. Yes. The sauce diet is a proud sponsor of the Infinipoop Poopcast. Now, let me tell you, I'm not exactly where, the doctors say I should be, but I used to weigh 800 pounds. I would need a forklift just to get in the door. I wouldn't even be able to fit in this room right now. I wouldn't be able to fit in the frame of this camera right now if it was not for the sauce diet. The 30-day sauce cleanse. You can drink any sauce you want. You get all the flavors. Hot sauce, ranch dressing, barbecue sauce, ketchup, as much sauce as you want without solid food. And you will feel cleansed and energized.
What about salsa? Can I have salsa?
Well, Look, the sauce diet has an accommodation for that. You do have to strain the salsa if it's chunky.
Okay.
Yeah, the tomato and bell pepper doesn't count in the sauce diet, but the salsa juice, you can have a nice cool glass of salsa juice on ice, and it is delicious.
Thank you for that brief moment from our sponsor. The sponsor is the Sauce Diet. You may see that on shelves here and across the world. It works for a lot of people. It doesn't work for everybody. But the idea is that if just by eating sauce only sauce, you will be able to drop the pounds and feel like a better you. So. So thank you guys for viewing this again, and thank you, Sleepchao, RoboChao, man. Really fucking appreciate it, and definitely would love to do this again with you anytime, man.
All right, we'll find the time. You guys take care.
You too.
You too, man.
Bye.
Right by your computer. Lean all into the screen, get ready. Just sit back now. Check 1, check 2, check 1, 2, 3, 4. You've never seen a poop like this before. Have you want some more? You get on that, you watch it all. It's the best thing you've ever seen. You better be sitting down and knock on your ass. It's the ultimate poop. You better get that shit. Yeah, it's the ultimate poop that you ever did see. Now you don't have to sit back and enjoy the show, because we're gonna get some more. It's the ultimate shit they know. You ain't never seen shit like this before. It's top of the shit. The ultimate poop just came out. Watch your clothes drive off for now. Ultimate poop, it's all going on. Ultimate poop, you better get it now. Ultimate poop, you better watch it. Ultimate poop, did I see a poop there? Ultimate poop, did I see a poop there? Ultimate, that's right, the ultimate. Up all night, the ultimate. That's right, now you're gonna watch the ultimate poop. You're gonna watch the ultimate poop. It's the ultimate. That's right, the ultimate. You're up all night, getting your clothes that up for free. Now you're gonna get, it's gonna take ultimate. It's the shit, ultimate. Boom.